So as we've count down our top 6 episodes that we rank for assorted reasons, everything from how much fun we had filming to the interest and knowledge and depth of the guest, and we just finished.
And I only had room for 6 episodes too.
Yeah. We could have had so many people in the top 6. And Arthur Bellfield, as in a bell in a field.
Which he explains to you.
Yeah, he does, because I have trouble with many names. I was getting his wrong. A talented visual artist, a poet. He has IMDb writing credits, and podcaster, and also performs some live poetry on the show, which was really quite remarkable.
And if you want to watch this episode without us yammering on during it, it's episode 132. It is on both YouTube and Rumble.
Rumble.
Yeah, so check it out if you haven't seen it already. And all of our other videos are on those available. So you can keep on watching even as we slow down what we're doing.
Welcome to the third chair. It is our great pleasure to have Arthur Bellfield back this week. Am I saying your name?
Bellfield.
Bellfield, like there's a bell in the
somewhere
field.
In the field. Yeah.
One of Doug's favorite guests got to talk about comics.
Mm-hmm. Was this week 2 or week 1?
This was week 1, very first week.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Who is also back, and what we're going to start out is, as people know from last week's episode, Art wears many hats. He's a spoken word artist, a visual artist. He writes comic books and creates characters for them, does some of the sketching work. He has a podcast, and one thing I didn't get to last week that I wanted to mention is we're just going to show a couple of covers from...
Oh, I think this is his second week.
I think it's his second week.
Yeah, I think the second week is some of the covers of comics that he did.
Yeah, we got more into his artwork.
Solo, created by Raymond Leonard, who's a huge fan of Rob Liefeld, who created Deadpool, Image Comics, fantastic artist. But Agent Solo's about a biotic commander.
Yeah. Like we know all of him, but he is just so well connected in that industry and knows people that are just integral to the independent comic industry. That's what made him so interesting.
Nice. Black Villains Wanted. And here's the cover of that.
Black Villains Wanted. I created this in response because I looked around. There were not that many black supervillains. And the ones that were there, they really weren't that important. So I wanted to tell a story about a guy who gets caught up with a bunch of black supervillains and see what happens. So it's a great story. I put it on Kickstarter. It did over 2,000. And I'm planning on releasing a second volume very soon.
Nice. Now here's a fun one, Tainted Love. Did you base this on that song, Tainted Love, by whoever sings it? I don't know.
I did hear the song, but it was not based on that. This was a story about a regular girl who fell in love with a superhero. Her family was like, no, his life's too dangerous. And she just got caught up in the story. Cool fun fact about this, it was published by Antarctic Press. Ninja High School, Ben Dunn, Fred Perry, Gold Digger. So that company has a strong legacy within the independent comic book scene, and I was happy to be a part of it.
Beautiful. Neat. And again, you write the stories and sometimes create the characters, always create the characters, but you don't do all the final illustration.
No.
I
wish I could.
Yeah, it seems like it's almost...
How many people do that nowadays? Is that even possible in today's environment to do
to be a comic book artist?
To be the writer and do the artist and do the whole comic book. Would that take too long?
It wouldn't, because a lot of artists think they're writers. A lot of writers think they're artists, and sometimes you can meet those skill sets in the middle, and then sometimes it's just you exceed at one and you don't exceed at the other.
How did we connect with him?
He was following us on Instagram. and he was liking our posts, so he was paying attention. So I figured he was a really good option for a guest. Everything I read on his Instagram, he's really interesting, very intelligent guy that has a wide range of likes and things that he talked about the poetry slam a little later on. He does his poetry for us. His poetry was amazing.
Didn't he have some kind of nerd podcast?
Yeah, Critical Nerd Theory.
Critical Nerd Theory podcast.
Yeah, and
not yet.
he had been off and on it. Him coming on this show, I think he's kicked that up a bit.
Yeah,
which is really good since we're leaving the space.
Well, at least for a little while. Who knows?
There's a room for him to jump into space, and he's got a lot of good connections that we're follow and listen to the different ideas that he gets to talk about.
I haven't been to the Poetry Slam yet. Just hasn't fit my schedule, but I definitely want to go. I might even write a poem and enter.
Yeah, it gets started in the spring, I think. Yeah, we'll definitely want to talk to him about possibility of being in a film. Just because, I mean, he's got the right look, he's got the right. His voice sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
He is dealing with a comic bar. He understands the writing process that creates a script. It's the same process.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be very fun to work with him.
What a spoken word artist is, a slam poet. And then Def Poetry came out. It was follow up to Def Comedy Jam by Russell Simmons, who I guess we shouldn't even mention his name these days. He got a lot of legal stuff. But that show showed me that poets can be cool, that people want to see these poets expressing themselves. And so I did a search, and I was like, oh, Fort Worth Poetry Slam, what's that? So I ventured there, and I saw people like Mike Gwynn, who is still, fast forward 15, 20 years later, still a part of that poetry scene. And I saw these wonderful men and women, and they sounded amazing on the mic, their words and wordplay, and I wanted to be a part of that. I was like, wow, I didn't know this was a thing. So a spoken word artist is kind of like a poet set to music. Yeah. That's the easiest way to put it.
So is it always set to music then, or is that just most commonly done?
That's the most common way that separates just somebody doing reciting a spoken word piece. They'll make it more of a song, and they'll set it to music, and they'll add visuals to it, and they'll go perform it, versus somebody just like, hey, I'm going to recite this piece.
You know, it's kind of sad. Variety shows used to be popular, and one of the things you used to see on it is someone reciting their poetry, but they kind of gone down to the wayside because I think you had too many variety shows in the 70s and the 80s, and it kind of oversaturated the market, and they really haven't come back because people are looking for the dramas and the comedies. And
they want the reality shows these days. They want to keep up with the Kardashians. They want their 90-Day Fiancés. They want their trash TV. Even Saturday Night Live, it's been around for 50 years. You know, the viewership has declined over the years for Saturday Night Live. And if you look, there's no other sketch comedy shows even.
It's true. You know what? We make a reality show out of poetry with the contest, because you're going to tell us about your poetry slam that you're the organizer of this?
Yes.
The Colorado Springs Poetry Slam?
Correct. I started the Colorado Springs Poetry Slam back in March. We did our first show in April. And we do it the last Saturday of each month. And it's divided up between this way. We start off with the Poetry Slam, which consists of poets getting on there with original material. They get 3 minutes each with a 10-second grace period. No props, no music, nothing like that. And we pick 5 people randomly from the audience to judge them. And we drop the highest and lowest scores. That's how they get picked. There's 3 rounds, and we crown a winner at the last round. So we start off with a musical guest, normally a local singer-songwriter. Then we do the Poetry Slam, and then we bring that musical guest back. And then we have an open mic just for poets. It's not a mixed mic. Only poets can get on there, and they get 10 minutes each to express themselves. Because everybody don't want to be in a poetry slam. I realize that. Some people are like, I don't like the idea of a competition, even though we make it fun, it's friendly. But some people like it creates anxiety. So it's like, no worries, man. You can participate in the open mic and express yourself. And so it's been going strong. We got the one coming up August 26th. We got one coming up September 30th. And then the last show in October, we're going to have a costume contest. So I'm encouraging all the poets and audience members to dress up. And it'd be cool. You look up there, Captain Marvel and Deadpool are reciting poetry next to Thor. You can't ask for a better time. And Jacinda Gabby, who's won the Poetry Slam twice, on the September 30th, she's having a book release party for her first volume of poetry. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Wow, that'd be exciting. So what?
Yeah, I
I'm
saw
gonna
a
ask
bunch
a
on Instagram.
question
It looked like a lot of
after we
fun.
get back.
Yeah, and I think
what's
he's
the
good at
prizes
making it fun.
that you give out
helping
for the
people not
poetry?
take-
If any, for the poetry
Take
slam?
themselves so
Okay.
seriously.
Welcome back to the third chair. Luckily, we have Arthur back because we still have Peter.
But now two out of three ain't bad.
No.
Yeah.
That's true. So, what kind of prizes do they get for winning the poetry
They
slam?
get my eternal gratitude. They get bragging rights. No, we do. At first, there was no prize other than bragging rights. But now, starting with the August 26th show, we started giving out $100 to the winner.
Wow, that's pretty nice.
I know, it's coming out of my pocket, too. I'm broke.
So that's his commitment to it. He puts money into what he wants to do and willing to make it successful. Hopefully it becomes even more, he gets some sponsors, I hope.
Fee to participate.
No, because we wanted people to feel included and not pressure to, oh, I can't participate unless I have $5 or $10. So it's free, and everybody signs up for the Poetry Slam and the open mic the day of the event to make it fair to everyone. And with the open mic, if you signed up, I say if it's 10 people, you signed up third, you're going third. I don't pick and choose. Oh, my buddies are here, they're going to go first, and then y'all other guys, y'all losers, y'all can go whenever. I don't believe in that. It's not right. And open mic is, if you signed up first, you get to go first.
Maybe it's a disadvantage to go first.
No, sometimes people are like, I got to get it over with. Because it might be their first time, and I want that to be a good experience. Because if they have a negative experience, they may never do this again. So I want it to be fun. I want that friendly competition, but I don't want to pressure anybody to feel like, oh, I have to be a slam poet. I have to perform versus just, here's my, poem about my dead cat, Fluffy.
Poor Fluffy.
But at the end, he was
We
kind of
won't let
fluffy.
we don't let the cats upstairs hear about that. They're a little upset.
A little bit.
Yeah, that's dangerous just to make the cats upstairs because you want to talk about the dead cat, Fluffy. Poor cats.
You have to have character in self. You have to believe in yourself. And you have to have stories that you want to tell. Because poetry is just a medium, just like writing a play or a novel or a screenplay. It's just a different medium where your time limit is condensed into maybe 1 minute, 3 minutes, or 5 minutes. It could be longer. But generally, it's condensed space and time to tell a story. So what makes somebody great at it is the ability to convince other people to have a shared experience with them. And that's how I look at it.
And what makes you said you choose your 5 judges out of the audience, right?
Mm-hmm.
at random?
At random, I look at you. You want to be a judge? Yeah. Okay. You're a judge.
You're a judge.
That's exactly how I do it. I'm just looking at random people like, oh, you want to be a judge? And some places are very picky with poetry slams. They're like, hey, do you know any of these poets? Yeah, that's my brother. Okay, you can't be a judge.
Yeah.
I don't have that kind of time. I'm just like, hey, who want to be a judge?
And if I have a T-shirt that says "I accept bribes," probably. Skip
But you
that.
eliminate you eliminate that problem because you eliminate the high and low score for each contestant.
Correct. And that's how,
So they get 3 scores that count.
exactly, 3 scores from each one of the 5 judges. And it works. It works.
So what makes a good judge? Do you say, well, that guy really...
You got to be able to judge people. That helps. You might judge. You might like the way what they're wearing. You might like their poetry. What they say, it might change your life. So just somebody who is a good judge of character, somebody who wants to have fun, and somebody who's like, you know what, I believe in that person. So any mixture of that or all of it will make a good judge.
So the judge comes in his own mind like, oh, I like that person better than that person.
Yeah, we encourage it. We tell the poets. They might like, you're wearing some, what they call them, hoochie daddy shorts. They might like that. You might got some nice legs. They're like, did you see Doug's legs?
Well,
Them thighs?
I don't think either of the Dougs are going to wear shorts like that. We can do a whole episode. I mean, I can't speak for Doug.
I have my mother's thighs. Yeah.
Roast the audience out.
That might be their thing. But, we tell people not to take it too seriously and have fun at the end of the day.
Because you said, don't boo the poets, but you can boo the judges.
Boo the judges, feed them. That might give you a high score.
You buy them some nachos.
Yeah, you bring some nachos.
So if you're a judge and you put up a 3, you're probably going to get booed.
You're going to get booed, but by the audience.
So it sounds like the judging is very subjective.
Yeah, and things like that, like critics for movies. It's always subjective. Do you like the movie? For songs.
Yeah, I mean, it can be more objective. I mean, you can rate people on things like, their public speaking ability or the emotion they put into it or the content, the actual content, and the...
we want them to have.
You could easily have a matrix to score something.
I always noticed during fine arts, the judging of the singers, you can tell if that was the worship song they hated the most, then you got a low score because you chose the song they hate. I've seen that on The Voice too.
Life or whatever the topic was that they're presenting. So maybe I'd be too tough.
I bet there would be a poem if you sat, I don't know, like 6 or 8 people. I bet there would be at least one poem that would move you in some direction.
I would think so.
Yeah. Some poets get up there, they talk about abortions, they talk about being abused as a child, they talk about abusive relationships that they are in their adult life. Like these, mental health has become a huge thing now. So people are more hyper aware of, hey, am I gaslighting people? Am I ghost bombing? Hey, me and this girl, we got together where we both just came out of traumatic relationships. Are we trauma bonding? So these are phrases that, they're buzzwords to some, and some people have weaponized them. But at the same time, people are living their truth, and we got to respect that. So, if you want to go to a slam and hear these stories and feel that pain, someone will, make you cry.
But also, though, hopefully the pain moves you to do something about a problem or an issue, not just experience the pain.
Exactly.
But it's a step in the process, isn't it? Like if you write something down in poetry and you recite it, that is a step. They're
releasing. You're not internalizing it, which is why some people get on stage because they're like, I need to share this with somebody. That's why I look at it as therapy.
On our show, we've done 130 or so podcasts. We have had people share stuff spontaneously that sometimes is along those lines.
It's amazing how many times we've had someone that we knew there might have been something, and then they drop a bomb on us.
Yeah, like carpet bomb us.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, I knew a little bit, but not like that. And they're willing to say it directly on something they know is going on to social media.
How she paid the rent. She would give me a couple of dollars to go to the corner store. When you see the landlord's car leave, you can come back. And, you start looking at your childhood a little different. You're like, did my mom sleep with the landlord to keep the lights on? Or so we can have a roof over our heads. And, it changes your perspective on your childhood. Once and this is why therapy is so important, because they want you to do a deep dive and you feel like, oh my God, I was abused. I never realized it. And, some people are like, oh, you shouldn't spank your kids. I grew up, you got spanked. But now it's called abuse. And to me, it's a difference between spanking a kid and abusing a kid. A huge difference.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's a really hot topic.
They used to give us spankings at school if you acted up.
Yeah.
So.
I remember in the 3rd grade, the principal had a paddle.
Yeah, I got a few paddlings from the coach. Didn't take too many for me to decide I didn't want them anymore.
Yeah.
Wow, he's crying. and the principal just kept pounding his hand with the paddle. And I'm like, hey! I don't want that to happen.
We had a coach in high school that drilled holes in his paddle so it would move faster and
Oh, wow.
more.
That is crazy that he did that.
You got paddled by him
I
one
think it-
time, then you
I think
learned your lesson.
A lot of gym teachers did that, I think, in those days. They knew about how the air moved.
All right, and we
We're
are
going to come back with a poetry reading.
a poetry reading,
I
a
hope-
slam.
Yeah.
Slam.
We'll
Yeah.
see if he's as good as last week.
And during the break, we're going to draw straws to see who does it.
It'll be all right.
We'll be right
I
back.
hope Arthur wins.
It's a rigged drawing.
This next piece is untitled. Ugly truths, broken mirrors shattered when in the darkness. Look at yourself. This is America. Black and blue, sexist,
There's a lot of
homophobic,
emotion for him in
transphobic,
this.
and I no longer know the pronouns.
Yeah,
All
cut
this
that.
Gender war.
And this piece meant a lot to him.
King Lo once said, everyone's a bitch if you ask me. So don't ask me because I have my own fight to fight. You have yours. So when I fight the powers that be, remember I'm like Chuck D. I'm the epitome of the public enemy. And if you don't believe me, try being black, try being proud, try being young, black, and gifted, and see how quickly the world will remind your ass that Abraham Lincoln didn't free you. But you want me to ignore that and forget the night that I walked in on my mama being raped by somebody whose great-great-grandfather used to own and rape their slaves. And nobody said anything. Because this was family business, right? And I guess business is good because millions of black women are being raped and no one seems to care. Where's the breaking news when a little black child is missing? Ugly truths. Broken mirrors. And if you want me to be honest, I'm tired of hearing people screaming about individuality with their hive minds. Because they refuse to unplug the matrix and just be black, be white, be male, be female, be whatever you want to be. Just be great at it. Mediocre people tend to be forgotten by God. I'm going to say that again. Mediocre people tend to be forgotten by God. Or is that just hearsay? Hidden within encoded language. Is that just hearsay? Hidden within encoded language. And now that you heard me say this word in a poem, who's really code switching? And since we're talking about family business, I want to give a shout out to my uncle because he was an old school pimp way back, and he'll whoop your ass in more ways than one. No metaphors needed. Especially if you're grooming children and calling it pride. You see, my uncle, he was 1954 gay, which meant he had a happy wife and kids. He had a happy wife and kids. And being gay to him wasn't a hashtag nor a political statement. No one cared about who he slept with in the darkness, except maybe his wife. But that's another poem and story. He was an OG Crip who wasn't afraid of your racist rants, nor your anti-gay thesis statements. He didn't need a parade because he was that man. He had nothing else but his pride. He got murdered by a cop, not because of who he slept with, but because he was black and he dared to go outside. Now you tell me about pride. Thank you.
Welcome back to the third chair. Peter has some questions, or do you?
I do. Well, first of all, I want to say what a wonderful delivery that was of some fine poetry.
That's right.
And we were truly privileged to hear that. I do have some questions because you wear many hats, so we're going to change to the direction of podcasting.
Okay.
And you have a podcast that I've watched a few episodes of called The Critical Nerd Podcast, or Critical Nerd Theory Podcast.
Yeah.
All right, please forgive me. Really interesting name. How did you come up with that?
Originally, it was called The Indie Comics Guy, and I just talked about comic books. How to make comic books, how to sell comic books, things of that nature. What's going on in the comic book industry. But I felt constricted to just talking about comic books. And I had watched this program. It was about critical nerd theory. It's the name of my show. Critical race theory, and which is a hot topic in schools. Some people want it taught, some people don't. But it was a cool name, so I was like, well, I'm just going to call it critical nerd theory and make that my own thing. Has nothing to do with critical race theory, but I want to talk about things from my perspective. I'm a nerdy black guy living in Colorado. Not that much diversity and inclusion here. I have unique experiences, but I also have shared experiences that people, no matter what race, gender, or whatever, they all have. We all been bullied or been the bully, or vice versa at times. We all have, loved the girl that didn't love us back. We all had those shared experiences. So I changed the name to Critical Nerd Theory because I wanted to talk about these broad topics. If I want to talk about fires in Hawaii, cool, I can do that. If I want to talk about, I went on a date and she catfished me, I can do that. But if I want to talk about pop culture still, I can do that. And so far, the audience has grown. We almost got 1,000 subscribers. I got monetized a few weeks ago. So it's like now I'm a part of that YouTube partnership program. And now I just need to, of course with YouTube, you got to get your watch time up. You got to get your subscribers up. And all these things. And I've learned so much about the analytics and keeping people engaged and things of that nature. And just looking to grow it.
Do you have the 4 pillars of critical nerd theory? Do you have some foundational beliefs of how you define that, or is that stretching?
I'm stretching a little, but to me, because some people call it gatekeeping, where you might be a fan of Star Wars. Love Star Wars. But this woman over here, she's seen a couple movies, and you're like, you're not a real fan. You only seen 2 movies. You never watched the original trilogy. How dare you call yourself a Star Wars fan? You got a lot of that. Even better. Picard is the best captain. He gave the best speeches. He will inspire anyone.
Yeah.
But no, I just look at it, it's like I just want everybody to enjoy what I'm enjoying. If you disagree with me, my engagement is up. People love saying I'm wrong. And I'm like, okay, engagement. Why do you think I'm wrong? Let's have that conversation.
How long have you been doing this? And do you have a studio that you use, or do you set up at home, or what do you do?
I've been hosting this show for 2 years. I just do it out in my living room, set up my equipment, and I just go turn the camera on. At first, bad audio issues. Nobody can hear me. So I have to adjust that, get a condenser mic and all that fun stuff.
Right.
And now it's just, I film it most of the time on my iPad, edit it on there, and I can get a quicker turnaround time to get the episode out.
So what's your goal in terms of number of episodes per week or per month? Do you have a certain number you're shooting for?
I generally release 1 episode a month. I mean, not a month, a week. That's the generally. And generally, I have a production day where I'll do what I call bulk production, where I'll film several episodes, and then I'll chop those episodes into YouTube shorts. That way, before I release the episodes, the shorts are already there. They're getting views. And then sometimes I'll release part of the episode as well, and that way I'm teasing the audience, and they're waiting for the full episode.
Sweet. And how do you pick your topics? Do you have a broad list that you're already thinking about that you want to get to, or is it more what's happening in the world during that week, or a combination? How do you decide on that?
I have a whiteboard where I put topics. There are trending topics, and then I have the other one, things I want to talk about. The trending topics are what's going to pick up on the YouTube algorithm. I already know that. So I already know it's like, hey, this is trending. A lot of YouTubers are talking about this. If I do a video, it can be picked up by the algorithm and get more views. Then I got things that, oh, well, I want to talk about this. And I'll make those videos. So I already know going in, those videos are not going to perform as well as the other ones that are trending, that are favorable to the algorithm.
Do you incorporate guests as a general rule, or is it more a solo monologue?
I used to have a lot of guests. I walked away from that except when I do a YouTube live video. And that way, same thing, if I do a live video, it's an hour, 2 hours, I'm chopping that baby up. Because some people, they may not watch the full episode. They may watch the first 15. And the golden stuff's in the last 15 minutes. So I want everybody to get a chance to see that last 15 minutes, which is why I chop it up in bits and pieces, because everybody's not going to sit around for an hour or 2 and watch the full video.
Gotcha. And will comic books still remain a vital part of discussion? Because you seem pretty passionate about that whole area of comics.
Comics part will never go away, because I still actively host panels on comic books. I still write comic books. So that's still going to be a part of who I am and a part of the show. That's never going. Because I never want to alienate that core audience that I built. No. I'm just expanding on the audience.
I watched some clips from a few of them. It may have been some of your shorts. You threw out some really interesting ideas. I'd like you to comment on them if you would. Okay. No one is reading crowd-funded comics.
They're not. Because what happens is you have this guy, it's like, oh, I'm going to do a Kickstarter. And the people that are backing it, fellow creators, because they hope, hey, if I back Doug's comic book project, he's going to turn around and back mine. That's the hope. Even though Doug's like, I never said I'm backing your stuff. But that's the hope and the idea behind it. Then friends and family. There's not a lot of just regular, random comic book readers hanging around Kickstarter or hanging around Indiegogo or any of these crowdfunding sites. That's why I say nobody reads them, because it's like, yeah, you got 68 backers or 100 backers. How many of those are creators? How many are friends or families or people you know?
Yeah.
And that's going to
I
account.
think he did better on the stuff he had on Amazon because Amazon's got a cost base to it.
You don't
But,
reach the other people.
There's so much work going on into the art, just the art alone for a comic.
People that just want to read comics, they
Yeah,
have no
film's the same thing. You got to pay for what you're going to film in order to get it out there. So where do you get the money from?
Brave one, Art. Is the writer's strike because Hollywood is too woke?
That's a good question, yeah.
Yeah, because you have a lot of podcasters, blogs, YouTubers. They are carrying the narrative that since there's more diversity in movies and televisions, nobody's supporting these movies or these TV shows. They're like, oh, everybody's gay now. Nobody wants to see that. Yeah, there are millions of gay people. They want to see that. There's millions of straight people. They don't care if the characters are gay, straight, or whatever. They just want to see a good movie. Mm-hmm. But their narrative, if a movie doesn't make X amount of millions, it's a failure. Mm-hmm. And it's because, that's because they got all them women up there. Well, the story's about women, about sisters. That's why all these women are in this movie. And that's that narrative that people are pushing, that everything is too progressive, too woke, too left. That's why things are failing. That's why they have a writer's strike right now. And I'm like, so it has nothing to do with what they're getting paid? It has nothing to do with they were like, I'm like, no, I think it's about what they're getting paid.
Yeah. Most actors don't, I mean, we always think actors are making the millions and millions. The average actor is sleeping in their car and hoping they can get enough gigs to
Some with the writers.
to have nothing.
They're
Something
living
more than
paycheck to
ramen.
paycheck.
Paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
They might have done a cameo appearance in Everybody Loves Raymond 5 years ago and have never gotten television work since then.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, you see some people's career. You look at IMDb, and they do something in 2015, and then 2018, and 2021. You know,
yeah, and they're
like,
working as a waiter in between or a plumber or whatever they can
It's
do.
hard. It's a hard gig.
It's hard. That's why I like the fact that you have platforms like YouTube, Twitch, and Kick, and Rumble, where people are making their own content. And they're building their own audience. And then you build that audience, people will come to you.
Independent filmmakers, like independent comic writers.
Yeah.
And we'll have more independent thought when we come right back. Hi, I'm Peter from Pikes Peak Recovery Coaching, and as you know, I do help people with drug and alcohol recovery issues. I love to help people get better, but I also offer a variety of other services, including regular life coaching services. I've helped several people write and finish a book. I've helped a doctor that was in medical school graduate and then get into a residency. And I also actually have quite a background in mathematics, and I do some math tutoring for the GED as well as the ASVAB for those that are thinking about a career in the military. So my contact information is on the screen. Please send me an email or a text, and we can talk about some of these services and how I can help. That's Peter Grigg at Pikes Peak Recovery Coaching.
Welcome back to the third chair.
This is the third chair.
You're the third chair.
You're the most important person on the show.
Now we're
Certainly
not
more important
we're
than
not
Peter.
I think our order of chairs always confuse people.
Yeah,
But mathematically makes no sense whatsoever.
maybe we should have called it the second chair.
Yeah. I just didn't care about the mathematics of it. And now it's
One comic book character.
2 chairs with 1 guy in it. And we can't even see this chair in these episodes.
Ah,
What would you do?
Without a doubt, I would love to write the X-Men. right now they're in this weird stage where they're all on the island, like Lord of the Flies or whatever, just singing Kumbaya. I want to bring X-Men back to what it was when Chris Claremont was the writer for 17 years, where it was about being different and being feared and hated just because of how you were born. I want to bring the X-Men back to that, where they wasn't hanging out in costumes and stuff like that. They were just the outcasts. They were still like, you know what? We love everybody, man. And I want to bring X-Men back to its core. And
kind of like in the movies. I mean,
yes.
I mean, they were superheroes, but they weren't popular superheroes.
They weren't popular. They were not perfect. So I want to bring the X-Men back to that and tell new stories that will attract the next generation of comic book fans.
Now, let's say I want to get involved in your poetry slam and wanted to contact you. How would I contact you about that?
Easiest way, we have a Facebook group. Oddly enough, it's called Colorado Springs Poetry Slam. There you go.
Easy name to remember.
We also have a website, ColoradoSpringsPoetrySlam.com. That's the easiest way. Or just hit me up on Instagram, Arthur Writes Stuff. Again, the Poetry Slam's done once a month. The last Saturday of the month, we have one show coming up September 30th. And we also have a poetry book release the same day by Jacinda Gabby. That's going to start at 5. Poetry Slam's going to start at 7. Then we're going to have an open mic afterwards.
And where's the location?
Oh, at Ultra Flat Black in Old Colorado City.
Is it always there?
It's always at Ultra Flat Black.
Yeah, we've been there. Didn't we film somebody there? One of the
We filmed Pays here.
Yeah, these are pineapple and
vodka.
vodka and tattoos.
Had some pictures too, did he not?
Yeah, he's got a few, but he mostly does tattoos, and he does the 719 project where they take old buildings and make them look decent with some art.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
It's one of the good things that graffiti artists are doing in town.
Now I know also, and we didn't talk about it. We'll put a picture of it up. But some of your visual artist work, you made stickers for somebody, and I have it over there. But producer Doug will put it up on the screen. Is that something you commission out if somebody is an artist and would like some original sticker creation work? Is that something you engage in, or is what's the deal with that?
What's the deal with that? That's a good way of saying it. I'm a visual artist. A lot of people don't realize that I'm also not only a writer, podcaster, idol of millions. I'm also a visual artist. So
I like his little there, idol of millions. I like how he puts that in there. Funny.
Yeah, he's quite witty.
Yeah, had a lot of really good little jokes in there, and
recycle culture.
just an easygoing guy to talk to.
Flea markets, craft festivals, art festivals.
He really comes across as quite knowledgeable.
Yeah. He understands every aspect of industry he wants to be in. He understands it, how it works, and I love how he brings some creative ways of looking rather than staying in the formula that most of the industries try and create.
And we'll put some pictures up of your artwork as well. I noticed you've posted. They're all off your Instagram. Some of your cartoon work, and the sticker work, which is really fantastic.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for being here.
All right, thank you. Is this how you do it here?
Yes, yeah. You've been an awesome guest. We didn't get a chance to talk about the fact that you've done some writing and script work, and you've got some IMBD credit. So I had noticed that you got some credit for some type of Star Trek or Star Wars.
No, Star Trek. It was a fan film.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. So so you're very talented. There's other things we're going to talk about. But we had a great conversation about indie comics. I thoroughly enjoyed that. And thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell notification icon so you know when we've uploaded another episode. Good night from everyone here at the Third Chair.